What the hell happened to Manchester United?
Humiliation. Total and utter humiliation for Manchester United. Totally unacceptable.
They just lost 2-0 to Hull City on the opening day of the season.
Wigan Slater's corner. Flicked on, could go anywhere. McBurney, brilliant from Tielemans, but Hull City have their goal.
A team that conceded 66 goals in the Championship walked into this game and made United look completely ordinary. And that's what makes this so embarrassing. This wasn't bad luck. It wasn't VAR. It wasn't some freak deflection. United were outworked, outfought, and outplayed.
And you know what? They were so much better than Manchester United in terms of deserving the result.
2 set-piece goals exposed the same defensive weakness that has been sitting inside this team for years. The midfield couldn't handle Hull's physicality. The attack couldn't break them down.
We could still be out there now, and I don't think we'd have scored.
And once United went 2-0 behind, there was barely any sign of a comeback. So, what actually went wrong? Was Carrick's lineup wrong from the start? Why did United lose so many battles in midfield? And why did absolutely nothing change once Hull exposed them? Because this wasn't just a bad opening day, it was a brutal reminder that Manchester United's biggest problems never actually went away. Start with the lineup, because the warning signs were there before a ball got kicked. Patrick Dorgu started as a left winger against a 5-man defense. United have tried this before, and it hasn't worked. And it didn't work here either. Dorgu is a left winger by trade, so this wasn't a case of a player stuck in the wrong position. The problem was Hull's shape. Against a disciplined 5-man low block, he couldn't find the spark to break them down. And that lack of creativity showed up fast.
I mean, how many more times are we going to have to see Patrick Dorgu against deep blocks playing as a left winger to realize that this is not a solution?
Think about what a winger actually needs to do against a low block. He needs to beat a man one-on-one, stretch the defense, and produce something in the final third. Dorgu couldn't do any of that. No dribbles that troubled Hull's backline. No end product. He just stood there in one of the most important areas of the pitch, doing nothing with the ball when it reached him, and rarely getting it in the first place. Then there's Matheus Cunha up front on his own. Cunha's whole game is built on dropping deep, getting the ball to feet, and linking play with the players around him. He's not a penalty box striker who lives off crosses and through balls into the channel.
Absolutely, we were putting crosses in, and Cunha, for all his pros, he's not a point man. He's not going to get on the end of these crosses and stuff.
Put him alone up top against a physical back three, and you've taken away the one thing he's actually good at. He barely touched the ball in Hull's box the entire match. On the other side, Bryan and Mbeumo got isolated on the right. Noussair Mazraoui offered almost no overlapping runs to support him.
If you're going to play Mbeumo on the right, even if you're going to play Ahmad on the right, you need an overlap. You need support for your wingers. It's the best way to get them to, especially Mbeumo, he's not really a real winger. You need support on that side.
Which meant Mbeumo had one option: cut inside into a crowd of Hull defenders who were already sitting deep and waiting. No space to run into, no overlap to combine with, just traffic, and most of his crosses into the box had no end product. Add it all up and you get a front three that generated almost nothing across the whole game. No combinations between the front players, no overloads on either side to stretch Hull's shape. No real way through a defense that, on paper, shouldn't have troubled United at all. But here's the thing, even if Dorgu had been sharp, even if Cunha had found space, even if Mbeumo got the service he needed, the front three wasn't where this game was actually lost. The real damage was happening one line deeper, in a midfield that got taken apart before United ever got the ball forward. Now, let's talk about the midfield, because this is where Hull actually won the game. Youri Tielemans and Andrey Santos are not bad footballers. Tielemans has played at a high level for years. Santos has the technical range to control a match and provide line-breaking passes. On paper, this pairing looks solid. On the pitch against Hull, it looked like two players with no legs and no answer for the physical fight in front of them.
Santos, every 50-50 lost it. Tielemans, every 50-50 lost it. In fact, every Man United player, every 50-50 lost it.
The numbers back it up. Hull won over 60% of the midfield duels on the day. Not close battles that could have gone either way. Actual duels, won convincingly over and over again. They were first to almost every second ball.
Started the game better. They had the right intent early on. Every second ball, Hull City got to that. Every tackle, Hull City got to that first.
United would win a header or force a loose touch, and instead of United's midfield mopping up the mess, it was a Hull player getting there first, resetting the press and forcing Tielemans or Santos into a rush decision. That's not bad luck repeating itself, that's a pattern, and patterns come from a real weakness. Hull pressed in pairs. 2 players closing down one United midfielder at a time, taking away the easy pass, forcing the ball backward or sideways instead of forward. Against that kind of pressure, you need players who can either muscle through it or move quickly enough to escape it before the second man arrives. Tielemans and Santos could do neither. They got swarmed, and once you get swarmed enough times in a game, you stop looking for forward passes altogether. You just try to survive the next 5 seconds.
And Santos, they were too complacent. Too complacent, too nonchalant in that first half. They were losing the ball too easily.
That has a direct knock-on effect. And it's Bruno Fernandes. Bruno spent long stretches of this match as a ghost.
Bruno Fernandes was ghosting in the first half. He was null and void, not involved. They couldn't get him into the game. Then,
not because he forgot how to play football, but because the players behind him couldn't win the ball cleanly or break through Hull's lines to actually find him in dangerous areas. A player like Bruno needs service. He needs the ball arriving into space where he can turn and create. Instead, the ball was getting stuck 10 yards behind him, recycled sideways, or lost entirely. It didn't matter where Bruno positioned himself either. When he dropped deep to get involved and try to build something himself, Hull's pressing pair just followed him and shut that down too. When he stayed high and tried to find pockets between the lines, the supply line from midfield simply wasn't there to reach him.
And so Bruno Fernandes, there's no question, is their #1 target to get the ball to if they're going to create chances or score goals. And they couldn't get him it.
Wherever he went, the problem followed him. Because the problem wasn't his positioning, it was everything happening behind him. And here's the part that should worry United fans more than anything else: this isn't a talent problem. Tielemans and Santos have shown at other clubs that they can pass, control tempo, and read the game well. What they got exposed for here is basic energy and physicality, and no amount of technical quality fixes that on its own.
When Manchester United are still turning up in matches in 2026, turning up and looking inferior physically from pace, power and stamina. And we've been saying that for about 5 seasons now.
You can't outthink a team that's simply faster to every loose ball and stronger in every 50-50. A midfield that gets bullied like this doesn't just lose its own battle. That failure travels. It shows up somewhere else on the pitch, and on this particular afternoon, it showed up right at the back. Once Hull started winning that midfield battle, they had the platform to do exactly what they came to do: get the ball wide and put crosses into the box. Ryan Giles and Hull's wingbacks were given time and space to do this literally all afternoon. United's fullbacks never closed them down. Not once did a Hull player get rushed into a bad delivery because someone closed the passing lane or pressured the cross early. They had the freedom of the pitch over and over, whipping balls into the box at their own pace.
But the Mons kept us in it. Every time Hull got the ball, they got down wide and they whipped across in.
Both goals came from set pieces. That's not a coincidence, and it's not a one-off mistake from a tired defender. This is the exact aerial and organizational weakness that's existed at this club since Casemiro walked out the door, and it still hasn't been fixed.
I tell you what, I told you replacing Casemiro is going to be difficult. Do not forget what he did in the air. Both goals came from set pieces. Both goals came because we couldn't aerially clear set pieces.
Casemiro wasn't just a ball winner. He was a physical presence in both boxes, someone who could win headers and organize bodies during dead ball situations. United still don't have an answer for that gap, and Hull found it within the first half hour. This matters more than a random defensive lapse would, because Hull clearly planned for this. Their setup, their delivery, their movement in the box, all of it pointed to a team that had studied United's weakness on crosses and built their entire game plan around exploiting it. And even knowing that, even seeing it happen over and over, United still couldn't stop it. Carrick made his changes. Kobbie Mainoo came on. Marcus Rashford came on. Benjamin Sesko came on. Fresh legs, different profiles, more attacking threat on paper. But the pattern on the pitch didn't change. United kept the ball, moved it side to side, and never sped anything up. Slow, toothless possession. The same after the subs as it was before them. Down 2-0, you'd expect some kind of urgency, a sense that players understood the scoreline and were desperate to change it. That never came. No extra bodies pushed into the box, no risk-taking in the final third, no moment where you looked at the pitch and thought they actually believe they can get back into this. It just wasn't there. No hunger.
Absolutely pathetic performance for Man United, because it wasn't like they created chances. It wasn't like they were close in certain moments. It was just zero intensity, zero urgency.
And here's the frustrating part for United fans. Carlos Baleba is supposed to be the answer to exactly this problem. The physical presence in midfield that wins duels and protects the back line.
He will add vital energy in the centre of the pitch. One thing United have lacked not just today, but over the last few years is legs and athleticism in midfield. Carlos Baleba.
But Baleba won't be ready until October at the earliest.
Okay, the one biggest issue was we haven't got Casemiro replacement yet. Baleba is the Casemiro replacement, but he's not coming into October and he's not going to be fully fit maybe till November.
And whatever he fixes when he gets here, he can't go back and fix what already happened at Hull. This wasn't a bad day. It was the same defensive fragility and the same midfield imbalance that's haunted this club for years, just wearing a different scoreline. Hull deserved the win outright. They were organised, aggressive, disciplined, and they executed a simple plan to perfection against a team that had no answer for it. Carrick earned real credit for turning things around last season, but this performance raises questions about preparation that nobody at the club has answered yet.
So some of this has to come down to Michael Carrick's decision making, unfortunately, and I just think he got a few things wrong today.
So the question stands, simple and unresolved. What the hell happened to Manchester United? And when does someone actually fix it?